The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
The European leg of the AMGSE continues on as the drivers go from one historical track to the next. Home of the 6 hours of Silverstone and the British Grand Prix, Silverstone continues to bring out the fans in droves year in and year out. Today, the teams will be facing off to see who can master the former World War II airbase as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sportscar Challenge. And you're watching it live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and a warm welcome to all of our viewers on iRacing Live. With me covering the prototype and GTLM classes is Bill Soupzon. Bringing us all the GT3 action is Michael Smith. Behind the scenes is our director Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Smitty, when it comes to famous corner names and great racing moments, this place has no shortage of them. Tell us a little bit about the track and what the drivers are up against today.
Well, indeed, the classic, if you will, the historic Silverstone. This layout is just a tick over 3 miles, with 3.142 miles long. 16 turns these guys are going to be negotiating today, and as you say, it is famously the site of the former airbase in World War II and is the home of British motorsport. It was actually the very first World Championship F1 race ever took place here, but today we're not going to be running F1 cars. We're going to be in HPDs, GTLMs, as well as GT3s. It features a lot of different types of corners, a lot of high-speed stuff, as well as some different cambered corners. Kind of puts you on the edge a little bit. And speaking of the edge, going off the black stuff today might not be beneficial. You get off into that AstroTurf and it could send you on your way. A couple of other things that are interesting about this is going to be those higher speed corners and making sure you're hitting your marks the entire time. Coupled with all that multi-class racing, and there's going to be a lot of interesting battles going on throughout the day. 60-minute race, definitely going to be hitting the pit stops today. And with the conditions being a little bit cooler, 73 degrees or so, you'd think that they have pretty good grip. But the clear skies we have today is going to see a little bit higher track temps, and we could see a little bit slicker conditions. And with the high winds we're seeing here, somewhere in the teens sustained, it could get things a little bit interesting when we get to the drafting situations. We'll be able to see a little bit more once we get to the lap guide here in the GSRC Bimmer.
All right, we've got Robbie Morrison in the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Silverstone. Coming down to Copse, the first corner is a quick right-hander. There's lots of paved runoff on the outside, but make sure you don't lose grip on that AstroTurf. Get loose, and it can be easy to skitter off into the inside barrier. From there, you'll switch right to set up for the Maggots-Beckett sequence. Each corner is going to tighten up, slowing the car as you go. The main thing here is to sacrifice your exit for a better entry into the next corner, up until the last right-hander. Ultimately, you're aiming to really be on the power early and get the right pedal flat to the floor through Chapel. Every ounce of speed you give yourself will be time in your pocket. That now dumps us onto the hanger straight, which will probably be your best chance for a pass. Really use the draft to get alongside your opponent because unfortunately, it's not a heavy braking zone at the end of this stretch. By now, we've come to Stowe, which has a slight rise, making the apex both difficult to spot and hit. As you exit, here's where the historical layout is different from the normal GP circuit. Vale is a fast and gentle bend into club instead of a chicane, meaning precision will be even more critical. Once again, perfecting the exit will be a lot more important because we're hitting another very fast section of the track. Instead of the Abbey chicane, we take the old route around the flat-out Abbey kink. Hold left though, because after this dip, you'll have to nail the high-speed bridge corner. Sadly, there's no time to relax because you've got to hold tight to the right for the line into Priory. A sneaky driver could make a pass into any of these last set of technical corners. Despite the low speeds, surprise overtakes are not uncommon, so keep your guard up. From Brooklands, we set the car up for Luffield. Try to get that rear end to rotate and point the nose in the right direction so that we can blast towards a start-finish line. Hopefully, you weren't on the gas too early so you don't ruin your exit speed. But from here, it's flat out through Woodcote, drift to the left, and complete your lap around Silverstone. Well, it's a track that's seen spitfires and exhaust spitting fire. But today, it's going to be lacking the McLaren since we've dropped that since last season, which is most known for spitting fire probably in the GT3 class. But speaking of the classes, Bill, we've got 3 of those to talk about, as well as the Teams Championship going on now that we've got one race down.
Right, and with only one race in the book, it's still kind of hard to get an understanding of the story, but I guess at least we can maybe read the liner notes here. So let's start by taking a look at the team championship. Now, the championship consists of no more than 3 drivers, 1 for each class, which each team member results, that goes towards the championship points total. So the 3 teams that are clustered near the top, all within 4 points, Team WFO sits in first. Now, it can boast 2 podiums from the opening race there with Troy Schuster with a win in the GTLM class, and then Robbie Morrison had a third in the GT3 division. 2 points behind sits Team OFW. They're the only team in the leading cluster with a winning driver without a winning driver in any of the classes. Now, Paul, oh my darling, has a runner-up in GT3s. That's being the best finish for that team. Then just 4 points back in third is the defending champion Autobahn West. John Big Cheese Ulmer was impressive in the prototypes, but some are saying that the teammates Billy Smith and Brett Trezine underperformed in the other classes. And it should be noted that Sim Racing Defender has tabbed Talon Racing as the favorite to take the crown when the dust settles. Now, moving on to the Drivers' Championship, let's start with the prototypes. The aforementioned Ulmer sits in first place for Autobahn West, 4 points ahead of Jurassic Racing's Kevin Santana. And the white team for TMC Racing has Tim McLeish rounding out the podium spots. In the GTLM group, WFO's Schuster is in first. Last season's impressive late arrival, Jason Girard of Excelsior Racing Team White, is poised in second place, and with the always steady Paul Slavonic in third for Autobahn Motorsports East. In the GT3 division, Jason Deep Freeze DeVries has moved from the prototypes to try his luck in a tin top, and you know what? He's off to a great start, claiming a season opener checkered flag and, of course, the points lead. Darling sits in second for OFW, and Morrison is in third for WFO. Thank goodness I'm not dyslexic. Man, what are they doing with those names? And you might need to check a milk carton to see last season's champion Jim McGinnis, because he is missing. The influx of talent into this class has the Mushroom Man well out of the spotlight, buried in 7th place. Now, once again, it's early. Spa was the overture. The opera is just beginning here at Silverstone, and it's going to wrap up with the Fat Lady singing April 26th of next year's race. That's April 14th from Daytona. Joe?
Wow, you know the schedule better than I do, that's for sure. And, talking about the GT3s, you touched on DeVries and his win last week. And Smitty, that really impressed me. We knew he was talented because he was fighting for that championship. But I don't know, do you think he's got a chance, judging by what we've seen of him so far this season, of finding redemption in a different class?
Well, he's off to a bang-up start, isn't he? I mean, he got pole out of the gate, and he got the W, and he's looking like getting the pole here again for this race. DeVries is definitely the guy to beat right now, but he's got a lot of guys hot on his heels. You've got last year's champion McKinney, who's off to a little bit slower start, off the podium for the first time in over a season there. He's going to be looking to come back here. And then we got just a ton of talent that's coming into this class, whether they came down from the vets like Darling did, being second in the first opener, or you got people coming up from the caddies like Lindsay with the top 5. So there's a lot of people pushing, and I think one of the interesting things could be not some of the names we saw at Spa, but maybe some privateers that could surprise, namely that of Kevin O'Keefe, who's looking to bounce back from a rough run last time at Spa. Not exactly his normal cup of tea out here, but he's looking to do something big.
Rutgers Kev, as he is known in the iRacing community, well known for his streams, and he's actually should be streaming this one, I'm assuming, so definitely go give his channel a look. Usually it's pretty entertaining. I've driven against him in various cars, actually, on official racing. Now, up to the GTLM class with Bill. Schuster had a very solid win up there, so he's definitely looking good. But I think really the surprise is the performance of Billy Smith and J.D. Baumgartner. I think we expected more.
Yeah, both those guys coming up from the Cadillacs, and both really struggled. Billy Smith really had a hard time. Bumgardner showed a promise of late, but was stronger at the end of the race, maybe getting used to that car. Today I'm looking at Jason Girard right now as the fastest qualified. He's just ahead of Schuster. And Girard, of course, is the guy who was really dominant up there in prototypes as well. So yeah, the talent has gotten tougher in all of these classes. I think it's twofold. The series is becoming more respectable, and they're getting in more talent from the outside, and then they cut down classes where they're trying to fit everything 4 into 3. So it's going to be a little harder to get up on the podium this season than the last.
Well, 2 drivers that did manage to get on the podium that we didn't expect was Kevin Santana and McLeish last week. They, I don't think they even expected to be on the podium.
Yeah, and the prototypes are interesting. It's all these classes. It's going to be interesting to see how this lays out, see where the talent falls out. Those guys were awesome. Now today, Ulmer's sitting down in 5th position. Robert Tinsey. Now this is going to be interesting. He's notorious for going through traffic. The good news, or the bad news, I don't know how you want to put it, because going through traffic, I think, is one of his strengths. Looks like he's going to be sitting on the pole, leading these guys into the first corner, so he's going to have a clear track ahead of him. I'll bet you if you ask Tinsey, I think he'd prefer to have clean track ahead of him than have to go through all those drivers, but he sure is fun to watch. We'll catch him going through traffic I'm thinking probably 20, 25 minutes, and probably even before that, probably 20 minutes we'll start lapping cars.
Yeah, I have no doubt that he is going to appreciate having a clear track ahead of him once that pace car peels away. Now, the question is, can he hold on to it for the whole race? I don't believe he's gotten a win yet in this series, has he?
I don't think so.
Check.
But I think all the drivers are going to benefit from being on this, what they call the historic course. Smitty talked a little bit about it. I really love this historic course. I think if you ever get a chance in sim racing to race an historic course compared to the modern course, race the historic course. I think if you're ever actually on a track in a real car, race the modern course because it's much safer. They've taken there's a lot more flow to this historic course than the one that exists right now.
Oh, absolutely. And as someone who used to drive Grand Prix Legends of the Papyrus days, I long for just the very simple old Silverstone, because that was even more fun. As you said, drivers out here sim racing, since they're not in real cars, there's really no life and limb or threat to their wallets if they put the car into the wall. So might as well have the more fun and more thrilling version as we watch Dexter Castro try to put some laps in. Drivers are currently out there putting last-second laps in. They usually separate them by class, but they have a final 15 minutes in case anybody did not manage to get here in time for qualifying, so that's what they're doing right now. Once everybody's got their hot laps in, then we'll read down the order for you, and thankfully I'm seeing no overlap today. We just have one straggler down at the bottom of the GTLM class. That's JD Baumgartner, and I think, is he out there right now? No, it looks like he's not out there. So JD, I believe, is going to be starting from the back. That's going to make his day even worse, and certainly not helping his chances of having a good performance, to redeem him from a few weeks ago at Spa.
Well, it's going to make it even harder. Look at all the GT3s we got on this lineup. I mean, it's unbelievable, the field size. The GT3 class has got basically the other two classes combined as far as its numbers go. And with the gaps that you see in the GT3 grouping, which are not very large, the top 3 guys are separated by 4/10. Actually, the top 5 are separated by only 5/10. And then the next big grouping, they're so close. JD's going to have a lot of work to get through this big field of GT3s before he even touches a GTLM guy.
Yeah, his early laps are going to be extremely compromised, I would have to imagine, as he tries to work his way through that field, because those guys are all going to be battling position in the early laps. Speaking of which, this is a 60-minute race, which we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, so it's a little bit longer than your typical iRacing official race, but it's still not extremely long, more like a sprint than an enduro, so these guys will have to make good of every single minute that they've got out there. They will also experience at least one pit stop as they are limited on fuel. We'll try and get some information on what the pit windows are looking like, but obviously we know that they can make at least 30 minutes on it.
We're thinking it's about halfway for everybody. One of the interesting things of the GT3, some people decide not to change tires because the pit stops are so long when they do tires because they have to do fuel then tires. I would imagine most people are going to do tires though.
Yeah, I would say that it could be an interesting strategy difference there. I mean, we talked to Dexter about that last round, and he actually did take tires. He's one of the only front runners that did, just because he wore his out, pushing as hard as he did. Most of these guys are going to try not to, I think, just because of that loss in time. But hey, if you're a little bit further back, you got nothing to lose. Throw some fresh rubber on there and see what happens.
And speaking of the different strategies and the tires, one thing that struck me about the conversation the drivers were having before the race, Smitty, was the debate for the BMWs on whether you put high downforce on the car or low downforce. Because this is a very fast track, and drivers like Dexter Castro seem firmly in the high downforce camp.
Well, certainly, and it's just about keeping the back end of the car, underneath you. Actually, looking at some of the forums and what guys were saying about that, DeVries was talking about how trail braking in his roof was going to be very difficult, just because the back end wanted to swap sides so much. He had to back off for a few corners that Morrison in his BMW was able to actually gain in on him under braking. So it's going to be one of those things where, yeah, downforce is a thing, but also the difference in cars will be a difference as well.
Well, checkered flag has fallen. All cars have completed their hot lap, so the grid is set. Robert Tinsey is on the pole in the prototypes. We'll see what he can do with that clear air at the start. Danny Kane will start on the outside of the front row. Matt Quinn will be in third. Then it's Kevin Santana starting on the outside of row 2 and 4th. John Ulmer didn't quite get himself his favorable lap, and he's going to be starting in 5th. And then Mark Ponick will start in 6th. Bill?
Ben Likens is going to be in 7th. Mark Wilson on the outside of row 4. Tim McLeish, podium sitter from last race. First race is going to be on the inside of row 5 in 9th position. Chance Kelly in position 10. Inside of row 11, Joe Wren, and on the inside and the outside of row 6 is Michael Johnson. Smitty?
After that, you got the start of the GTLMs. You got Jason Gerard taking the pole there, followed by Troy Schuster. And then Tobias Littau going to be after that, and Dino Topic. The next two guys in this class, Kevin Binkley and Paul Slavonik, who actually spent a good amount of time in the YouTube chat earlier today.
Then in 19th, it's Brandon Postma overall. Robert Jackman will start in the 20th position, followed by Christopher Bailey in 21st. Dave Hill starts off in 22nd, with David Sockrider in 23rd. And then in 24th, Bill, we have Sheldon Woloshin.
In 25th is the last car in the GTLM, except for Bumgardner, who's way at the back, is Sean Reese. Jason DeVries starts off the GT3 division in 26th spot. Robbie Morrison is going to be next to him. Dexter Castro follows him. In 29th overall is Paul Darling, and in 30th is Ross Booth. Smitty?
Paul Lindsay's got it after that, followed by the aforementioned Rutgers Kev, who's going to be doing that live stream. Leif Peterson, a regular front runner of the GT3s after him, followed by Ryan Bird and Jim McInnes. Then Benjamin Hackison is going to be the last one in that group.
In 37th, it'll be Brad Wren, followed by Tony Duffy in 38th. Brett Trocine will start in 39th, followed by David Henry in 40th. Matt Owens starts off the race in P41 with Darren Kuhn in 42nd. Bill?
Robert Salenka in 43rd. 44th is Christopher Sherburne. Mark Schindel is 45th. Then you have the two J.D. Baumgartner and Sheldon Rosenberg. I don't see Baumgartner actually out on the grid right now. Let's see if he's there. I don't think so.
No, agreed. I don't see Baumgartner. I don't see Rosenbaum either.
So those two drivers are missing as they start the pace lap now. We're going to go all the way around this long course here, so we have a little bit of time before these guys start. They're going to break these classes up into 3 groups, so the leaders of each class are going to leave a little bit of space so that they don't get bunched up too much there.
No, for sure, and that's going to be one of the things is everyone should be able to have a fairly clean start, at least having their own group. They're not going to have to fight through any other kind of traffic, at least for these first handful of laps. Early going, it's going to be about getting in a rhythm, being smooth, and at least getting a good position until you do finally hit that traffic.
Do a little number counts here. It looks like we have 12 drivers in the prototypes. Then we go down to about another 12, I'd say looks like 13, 14 cars in the GTLML cars. And then Smitty's division. Oh my goodness, you got about all of that. It looks like you got about 24 to keep an eye on there, Smitty.
24 cars in GT3. I'll tell you what, that's going to be a fun bunch to watch. And it'll be interesting to see how everybody starts slicing through them as the HPDs and then finally GTLMs do catch them. Yeah, you're going to want to be smart. There's some places that you can catch people and pass pretty good. There's other spots you just do not want to catch traffic. And it'll be interesting to see if everybody keeps their head on straight and stays patient as they get through that traffic.
Now, a lot of series have something called the orange zone, where they don't like drivers to pass during lap one. There's nothing like that here. As soon as the green flag falls, as soon as that lead car, in this case it's Robert Tinsley in the prototypes, as soon as he takes off, it's actually racing. This series does a pretty good job of getting everybody around cleanly. 60 minutes is long enough where if you're a faster driver in your class, you should be able to, if you can't catch somebody after 60 minutes, you're probably not going to catch them. So let's hope that everyone gets through here cleanly as they're coming up now close to the green flag. It looks like they're going to be going to the final corner. Nope, they have a little bit of ways to go here, just going under the bridge right now. Such a long way to go on this track with a full course pace lap.
Yeah, that's unlike what they had at Spa, right? Spa, there wasn't a full run, and now these guys will have a full lap of jitters to work out here. Gonna take a deep breath here, your last couple of corners, try to get the pulse to calm down a little bit, and go to work here as we get ready for 60 minutes.
Now they're coming around that final turn, that big looping right-hander. Pace car pulling off, cutting across the grass, is going to go green in a minute. And it does. In the prototype, Tinsley's going to jump out into the lead, followed by Matt Quinn's going to get second position. Danny Kane's going to tuck into third. Making a move on the inside into fourth position. There's a great move by Ulmer, and going a little wide there is Kevin Santana. Let's back up to the GTLML class. They're just crossing the start-finish line right now. We see him going and getting a great jump in the GTMLs. Jumping out into first place there is Troy Schuster. Nope, on the inside is going to be Jason Girard's going to hold the lead. Schuster doing a little blink. He's going to tuck into second. Dropping into third now is Tobias Satu. On the outside of that blue car is Dino Topic going to make a move, trying to take over third position, and he's going to do it. Let's go back, Smitty, and see what the GT3s look like.
Well, in the GT3s, we're guys trying to watch out for this jump. You got to make sure you don't pass the pole sitter there, and it's going to be DeVries out to the early lead there. Morrison's going to slot in behind, and Castro is going to be into third already. These guys are already single files that come through Maggots and Beckett's. They're going to want to make sure they stay that way. They got to get a good run all the way down the hanger straight. You don't want to get in any BS right now. You got to make sure you're nice and smooth. Keep your head on straight. It's a long way to go. We're going to be talking about that all day.
Everybody clean as they work about the first half a lap. Let's go back up to the prototypes now and see what we're looking at there. We'll set the stage for you. Tinsley in first, followed by Matt Quinn. Quite a bit of distance between Tinsley and Matt Quinn as they wrap up lap one. In third position, John Ulmer has made it all the way up to third. Ben Likens in fifth, and then Kevin Santana in fifth. Sorry, Likens in fourth. Let's go back. We'll set the GTMLs for you. Much closer battle here with Girard just a few car lengths ahead of Troy Schuster. Followed right behind by third place Dino Topic in that blue car. And then it's Sotau in fifth, and then Binkley, Sotau in fourth, and Binkley in fifth. Back to the GT3s. We're still looking at Jason DeVries in front, but not by much.
Man, it is insane looking at all these cars, but everybody is being very smart. You got a long way to go, like we've been saying here. It's just lap one. These guys are just getting ready to finish. DeVries out front, but he's got Morrison, Castro, Darling. He's got Booth, Lindsay, and then O'Keefe all right there. So, yeah, it's going to be nose to tail. These guys are staying smart. It's going to be about hitting your marks this entire time and seeing if you can just pull away a little bit. That long hanger straight makes it tough, though.
Everybody being very well behaved as we wrap up the second lap. I haven't heard a single bit of contact, haven't seen anybody. Everybody, all 45 drivers on the track right now, everybody looks clean. And right now we're looking on board, looking at Deep Freeze DeVries there, currently running in first place in his class. Looking now over the back of DeVries, you can see back behind him. That's Morrison behind him there. You can see over his wing.
I gotta tell you, I'm actually pretty surprised at the lack of moves. There's a few people who've had a chance to make some things happen, and they're staying nose to tail. I would think that, you know, right now, the early part of the race, maybe it's time to pick up some spots, but it looks like most people are just, you know, well-to-do just staying in line.
Yeah, it's been that way not only in your GT3 division, but in the other two classes as well. Looking back now to the front of the prototypes. There you can see your leader there is Robert Tinsley, showing it in kind of a light blue car for me. I have a different color on my screen, but I guess it's a light blue and white car. Now followed behind Tinsley there. Is Matt Quinn. Oh, and there's a spin. Ulmer is off. The cheese is off the pizza. No! The cheese stays on the pizza as Ulmer does a little bit of sideways racing. My goodness, I didn't know you could do that type of driving in the prototypes. Woo!
A masterful job of driving there just to keep her going in the right direction, much less not hitting it.
I thought he was looping that one around for sure. Ulmer is always very fast, but his Achilles heels has always been staying out of trouble. He doesn't like being in third. He really likes to be out in front. Once he gets out in front, he feels a little more comfortable. He's got a ways to go now. Oh, he spins again. He went wide. And he looped it off into the wall.
Maybe just trying to grab a little bit too much back too soon.
We're going to catch it on replay. Now, he used up all of the apron there on the left-hand side as he went through there. I thought he was good, but there's a little bit of grass there, and I think he got on that AstroTurf. I guess he doesn't have the same grip, and he looped it in. And yes, once again, it's pizza, it's crust sauce, but no cheese on the Ulmer pizza. Tough way for his race to start. Now, there is a fast repair, so he can get that into the pits. The bad news is it's not in his pit window, so he'll have to do it twice.
I'll tell you what, we were talking to him before we even got going. He said that he really wanted to push for a top 5 and whatnot. Whoa, man, has he made it tough on himself.
Let's jump back to the GT3s now and see how we're doing up front there.
We actually got a bit of a battle going on here right around Ross Booth in this area, the side-by-sides that come through the final section there. And they're being pretty nice. I mean, even with the side-by-side going on through Luffield there and out of Woodcut, these guys are still giving each other a lot of room. So even though we are starting to see a little bit of battling going on, there's nobody really losing their head. A few looks here and there. It's pretty good, pretty clean racing right now. It is allowing some of the top guys to pull away. You've got DeVries out front. Morrison is still staying with him, but he's starting to lose the back of him. It'll be interesting to see if he can stay with him here on the Hangar Straight. A little bit of a gap back to the next couple of guys, and then you do have a pretty large gap. You got Darling a little bit further back, and then a large gap back to Booth. So the front runners starting to pull away a little bit here in GT3.
We have Joe Peak joining us back in the booth again. He was away for a little bit. Joe, you haven't missed much. They've been very clean. Ulmer looped it into the inside wall, but that's pretty much been it.
Yeah, sadly, I was able to catch Ulmer's mistake, both of the mistakes. An exciting moment coming out of bridge there. Had a few technical gremlins. I apologize as we watched Dino Tovic work his way through Luffield in the GTLM class, being very closely chased by newcomer Tobias Soltau. There is a name that we have not heard yet, I don't think, in this series. At least I don't recognize it, but he's proving himself to be a pretty handy foe already in the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. He had a nice qualifying, qualified 4th in his class, and is now running very well. Really impressed by the except for Ulmer's mistake, how clean these guys have been driving.
Topic makes a mistake coming through Beckett's there, and that allows the opportunity for Tobias to slip on by the time they reach the Hangar Straight. Dino tries to see if he can find his way around. He's going to have to look to the outside of Stowe, and there's just not enough room for him to sneak in there. Meanwhile, Kevin Binkley had the popcorn position and elected to back out of it.
You know, Binkley's an interesting story as we're watching him on screen right now. He's Season 2 champion. Again, he's fallen into one of those positions where I think the talent has given him a hard time. He was running away in this division last season and is really struggling now, currently running in 5th in class.
Just give a shout out right now to Tinsey, who is out to a 2+ second lead. He has been flying through traffic right now. He's sliced his way through the GT3s with Quinn and Lycan Santana, kind of getting balked a little bit. Timing is definitely a part of it, and right now timing is on the side of Tinsey.
And you know, Smitty, Tinsey was able to run with the guys who were up there. He had the speed to run with DeVries and with Gerard last season and Ulmer. He was probably one of the 4 fastest drivers. And now with Ulmer having trouble and DeVries and Gerard leaving the class, this might be his to win this season. Having a great run right now.
Well, we saw speed out of Quinn, too, at Spa. I mean, both Quinn and Kane put on a show, and they both had speed. So I'd be curious to see what Quinn can do once he gets out in open air.
Well, right now it looks like Quinn does have that open air with about 3.5 seconds up to Tinsey. So if he could try and manage to just push out the good laps, we could keep in it. Meanwhile, we have a battle for 5th in the prototypes, it sounds like, with Chance Kelly, and wow, some great action as they work their way through traffic, getting by Danny Kane. Now they're going to try and lap Kevin O'Keefe. Chance Kelly manages to go by. Now on the exit, it looks like Kane is able to work his way past. Tim McLeish definitely keeping in touch with them. This is a part that I would not want to be trying to work my way through this traffic, all the twisty bits of the Maggots-Beckett section, and you can see it is costing McLeish all kinds of time.
That was close right there. I can't tell exactly who that was. I think it was right around Kane. He had prototypes who was outside.
And what those prototypes did there was they kind of split up the GT3 class, which is kind of in a bee's nest there. When this faster, oh my goodness, there as we're watching.
Going
Are you looking
wide.
what I'm watching there?
Yeah.
That was Chance Kelly making a move. Oh,
Danny Kane hassling him for that P5 coming up through club, but just not enough of a braking zone in these HPDs for him to try and get something done there. They were going by, who was that in that BMW? That was Ross Booth that they streaked past. Now they're going to try and take Paul Darling. And Kane is just hassling all over Kelly, looking for the position down into Brooklands. He's managed to get beside him, but it's going to switch back to the left. What's going to happen with this lapped car? Are they going to split him on the corner? No, not quite. I was going to say. Still, they're going to go 3 wide through Woodcote, which is a flat-out corner. No problem through there. Still, Danny Kane has managed to... Actually, he was behind, wasn't he? He got it done.
yeah, Kane managed to get that. I don't think Chance Kelly has given up yet, but I think Kane might have the pace to pull away now.
That was brave stuff, really using these cars as a
Now,
pick.
just ahead, there's Dexter Castro as we follow along with these guys. There's Dexter's going to have to bring it in there through these S's. You can't make the car invisible, so that's going to split up. Chance Kelly's going to have a hard time getting around. He drops a little more time back there.
That was the perfect buffer that Kane needed to try and squeak past. In fact, now he's going to do it once again with Robbie Morrison. Going to put just a little bit of a breathing gap between himself and McLeish. Excuse me, and Kelly. Although McLeish is on top of Kelly, and just behind them, they've also got the green HPD of Mark Wilson. So now we've got a field of 3 battling for that spot.
And then finally, Smitty, they're going to get up to the leader here. They're going to get up to DeVries, the leader in the GT3 class.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is not at all what the chasing GT3 drivers wanted to see. Every single time that the prototypes get alongside him, it seems to cost those GT3s a good chunk of time, and it's just let DeVries get out to a pretty big lead over Morrison. But then if you keep looking back, Morrison is now, well, and actually he's getting a little bit of a help there because, and this is what happens, to the ebb and flow. It was DeVries was getting out front, but now DeVries gets balked, and Morrison's able to eat back up, and so is Castro there in third. Arguably the 3 fastest guys, or 3 of the fastest guys at Spa, doing it again here at Silverstone.
Let's jump ahead to Dino Topic right now because he's got the leader of prototypes right behind him. There's a great battle going on as Topic is going to let these guys around as Tinsey is now trying to weave his way through the faster drivers in the GTLML class. You see Tinsey in that light blue, I'm going to call it white and light blue prototype there.
Yeah, I was noticing that a little bit earlier, just keeping my eye on those guys getting very close. Tobias Soltau still holding off Topic after that earlier mistake where he was able to overtake him. Just behind them, though, Kevin Binkley, very much threatening, seeing what he can do with these two. They are currently sitting in the fifth, fourth, and third positions.
Yeah, Binkley's been able to run down those three drivers now. You have a few prototypes ahead. Then you get to, as Tinsey's going to be coming up on some familiar names here, Troy Schuster, and then he's got Jason Girard, who he's battled for half a season in prototypes just ahead of him. So Tinsey making his way through, leading those prototypes. I really think that this layout, the historic version of this course, really plays into the prototype's hand for getting through traffic because it's so much more rhythm, so much more sweeping. It's a little easier for them, I would think.
I know the prototype guys were definitely calling for this version of the course. This was a little bit of a late change. Initially, they were going to race on the GP course, but then after the drivers discussed it and realized that it'd probably be advantageous for dealing with traffic, as you can see, Tinsey is currently working his way around the GTLM leader of Girard, that it just was smarter for everybody, be less headaches, and maybe make the racing a little bit less chaotic, which, if you can have less chaotic racing in the AMGSC, that is.
Yeah. But Smitty, I don't know if the BMWs are as happy with this, with Abbey being, instead of the Abbey chicane, it's now the Abbey Link. It really lets the BMWs don't get that they don't get that advantage like they would expect to have.
Yeah, you talk about not having the advantage, but and they do like the hard braking zones. And actually, if we take a look at our GT3 leaders right now, you do have a roof out front with De Vries, but then Morrison and Castro are both BMWs right behind him. And as they go through the Abbey section, it's one of those things where you just keep being smooth, and they have to play, like we talked about in the pre-race show, about that wing, about how much downforce they're going to run. And actually, if you saw on Hanger Straight there, De Vries going back and forth a little bit. He's trying to break that little bit of a draft that he's cutting the hole in that Morrison's able to suck up to him. Dexter Castro there in P3, he's the guy under the brakes that you want to watch for. And actually, as we go into Berkland's here, take a look and see how he's probably going to eat up on these guys. Big amount there. He's just really, really good under the brakes. Now these guys are right there. So roof for BMW, they seem to be pretty close to the sharp end.
Top three of our GT3 leaders all together, and they're going to get interrupted as we look off the rear of Robbie Morrison. That's Michael Johnson closing up on Castro at the moment. I think he's going to get him easily down the front stretch into Copse. Works around the outside, but he's going to be stuck between them. Now what's going to happen? Can he clear them before they get to the Maggots-Beckett sequence here?
That seemed like it balked Castro a little bit there in that first sequence.
Oh, and a mistake!
Whoa, that's not good.
Johnson trying to recover after he almost overshoots it. And unfortunately, that's Robbie Morrison right on back, and he almost spins it out, exiting through Chapel there. Gathers it back together and allows John Ulmer to sneak through after his earlier mistake.
And that was not a good section for Johnson there, was it? And you got to think that if you're Castro right now, you just got to be gritting your teeth, because you were right up on second, and now you've got to eat it all back up again. And you still got the guy riding your back bumper, so it ain't over yet.
Yeah, he's got to do it all over again, the work that he just did. Now, you might be wondering how John Ulmer is back out there with a whole car. They do have one spare car in this series, but the opposing side to that is they have a 24 incident limit. So anybody who goes over that is going to be disqualified and immediately removed from the track. We're getting reports that there's actually starting to be some marble buildup in the final sector, which you're seeing Ulmer go through right now. Wonder if that is going to start to play havoc when the drivers have to lap other classes.
And it is good we report that Ulmer has brought his car back out there again. He is still going to need to make a regular scheduled pit stop, same as everyone else. Currently running in 10th in class. Last in class, actually.
Let's take a look back up at GTLM and see what's going on up there. Schuster has still got the lead. In fact, it looks like he's extended it a bit.
No,
Excuse me,
it's
Gerard is the lead. Yes,
Yep.
sorry about that. Gerard is the one that has extended it a bit over Schuster, who had about a second and a half earlier. Now it's just over 2 seconds. So Gerard's not scampering away, but he's certainly keeping him at bay.
No, the first two are pretty well set, but the real battle is going on back here in 13th position, as we can maybe jump there right now, as we're looking there at Dino Topic is in a battle with Binkley. And there should be another driver in that one. Oh, Tobias Satao. So there's your guys running 13th, 14th, and 15th. Those guys have been pretty close.
Yeah, they haven't seemed to been able to get away from each other. They were split just now by Christopher Sherburne in his BMW, but as Binkley accelerates away on the backstretch, that's no longer an issue, having dropped a little bit of time up to the pack of Dino Topic and Tobias Soltau.
Yeah, and shout out to Soltau, right? He's the new cat in this bunch, and he's making noise right out of the gate.
Certainly looking strong.
We talked about car classes between the roof and the BMW, but we also have them in this class as well. What you have there is Satao and Topic both in Corvettes, and then Binkley switching over from the prototypes and decided this season he's going to try the Aston Martin, get his hand to that one.
I think Binkley was in the Corvettes instead of the prototypes.
Oh, that's right. He was in the Corvettes and he switched. That's what I meant to say. Thank you.
There we go. You were thinking of the Daytona prototype.
Right. Same class, but he switched over.
Oh, we've got a car off the track. That's Robert Sklanka off in Brooklands. Now, how did he get over there? Did he go wide out of Poirot? Oh, no, he had some help. Troy Schuster was trying to lap him, it looks like. Oh, no, maybe he didn't. No, excuse me. I thought I saw contact. You'll see it on the replay here. Maybe he just got a little surprised. No, he put a wheel in the grass, counter-steered so that he didn't run into the other class. That's very, very sportsmanlike of Sklanka.
That was close. That's a great paint scheme for him. It's a Jurassic Park. They are Jurassic Racing. You know what they need to do is like have the Jeeps with the claws that come up like they have in Jurassic Park.
Oh, yes, I would love that. It's on the roof, which we can't quite see there from this shot, but we can see it, or at least I can see it from my eye in the sky. There you go. Get a nice little close-up of their paint job. These guys really work hard on their paint schemes. There you can see he's being overtaken by one of the TMC cars.
I wonder if there's like an age minimum for that, if you have to be like a certain age to get into Jurassic.
A young spry man such as yourself wouldn't be allowed in then, Bill.
No, I would. Too young.
So, in case you were wondering or just joining us, Robert Tinsey is our leader in the HPD, the prototype class. Leader in the GTLM after 20 minutes into this race is Jason Gerard. And leading the way on the GT3 side is Jason DeVries in his roof.
And speaking of the GT3s, they are starting to close it back up again. And it seems like every single time they get within a second or so, here come the HPDs, or here come the GTLMs, just breaking it up ever so slightly. It's going to be really interesting. I think more here than at Spa, making sure that you get a good pit stop in, nice, smooth, clean, no mistakes, is going to be really important. And by that, of course, I mean making sure you don't crash on entry.
Yeah, no doubt. It's important to practice that. Now, watching this battle, as we switch over to Kevin O'Keefe, actually, it looked like Castro was closing in, but this is a nice little battle we've got for 7th, 8th, and 9th. O'Keefe being chased by McInnes, last season's champion, but once again, a little bit farther down than we're used to him.
Yeah, McInnes just, he's being consistent. He's hitting his marks. He's just not doing it in the top 3 like he was before. Again, he's got DeVries and Morrison is way better than he was showing early last season. And right now you got he's further back. He's battling the privateer of O'Keefe, who is a good wheel in his own right. But Booth is in there. He's new to this class. He actually came down from a previous class in the opener. So the GT3s have become a home for a bunch of different people. as you said earlier, with 20-plus cars in it.
And boy, Leif Peterson is getting all over the rear spoiler of McGuinness through the slow, twisty bits. You would expect the BMW to really pull away in that part. Now he starts to get himself just a little bit of breathing room. Let's see what happens through Copse. Very fast right-hand corner.
Yeah, these BMWs, the idea is that they're going to be better through like the sustained corners. You get through this set of Maggots and Beckett's, then on the back straightaway, and that's where the roof's going to stretch the legs a little bit. But you see that, look at that roof come right back up on McGuinness there. It's not a typical what's going to be going on. So we'll see if he has enough, see if he can stretch the legs down the front straightaway, make something happen on McGuinness.
And he does get a good launch out of there. That was critical for Leif Peterson. Does he look? Oh, he doesn't go by, though. He backs out of it.
Yeah, we've been seeing that. That's what's interesting. I'm not sure if these guys have a game plan they worked on beforehand, but for me, it's you're obviously faster, make it happen.
Sounds like something is happening with one of our GTLMs, Dino Topic. He is in the pits. Is this pit strategy, or is... Let's look at the replay, see if we can figure out what happened here. Need to go a little bit farther back. Oh, and unfortunately, from what I'm seeing, it looks like this happened in Copse. So early in the lap means he's got a long toe. Oh, he got helped.
Mark Wilson got him in the prototype.
Boy, that is not going to make Topic happy. I'm amazed that Wilson doesn't have more damage. Oh, and Ulmer also hit him.
And there they are, both cars parked.
Bad to worse for Ulmer. Wow.
Just not a good day at the office for sure. We're going to look at it from Ulmer's view and see what he saw. Just a lot of sky and then dirt and then sky, and he lands right side up, which is very little consolation with his spare car already gone.
Yeah, and yeah, he's just saw it there on the screen. He is done for the day. He's out.
Back up to Robert Tinsey, our overall prototype leader. We said that he was going to like being up in front in the clean air, and thus far he's been making good use of it. Let's look and see what that gap is between himself and Quinn. Looks like he's got about 7 seconds already, halfway through the race.
Got to give a shout out. Maybe we can put the camera on Danny Kane right now, currently running in 4th. Been doing a good job. He had a slow start, been making his way up. I think he got around Santana for a position, just left Santana behind. Kane's really on the move.
Kane was one of those drivers that actually switched classes last season, in the middle of the season rather, and now has come to the prototypes. He was in GT3 for a while.
Now, while he was on the move, the good news is he's really doing well. The bad news is he's got 20 seconds to get up to a podium position of Ben Light.
I feel like the gaps that we're seeing are very much due to the lapping of the other classes, because it just seems like it's been extremely beneficial to some and entirely hazardous to others, to put it mildly.
Yeah, there's definitely an ebb and flow, but I think that's where we're starting to see who's a little bit stronger. For instance, Robbie Morrison in second place at GT3s. He does lose De Vries with that, but here he is now with only a few car lengths back, closing back up for the lead. So if you're able to do that, if you're able to keep chipping away, you've got yourself a strong ride, maybe have a good long run deal.
As we watch our 3 GT3 leaders who have not been able to get more than, I want to say, 5 seconds between them the whole race. Danny Kane closing up on them, who were just watching a little bit ago. Here he comes on Dexter Castro, which off screen we're watching on board Robbie Morrison. Now he's switched off board. He's going to do it on the outside of Club. And Dexter's trying to give him some room on the outside there, as Kane uses all of the paved runoff there. Now this is where he definitely does not want to catch these guys. Morrison is right up close. He doesn't want to lose this. And Kane looks like he's going to be patient through these twisty bits. Sticks his nose in, coming into Brooklands. He's going to split him up.
And you know Morrison did not want that. He did not want that at all.
No. But he's going to try and do it around the outside. But those marbles are out there that we mentioned. You can see it's hurting him. Couldn't even get it done with all the downforce, but it doesn't matter because Kane is into the pits.
And that is salt in the wound for Morrison, isn't it? Oh,
Just
my
thinking
God.
that. It's like he couldn't wait two
Really?
more corners.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That really, the hands up in the air going, come on, man.
And they're not over yet, because here comes Kevin Santana, last week's podium finisher. He gets in front of Dexter Castro. Now they head into the Maggots-Beckett sequence, slotting up behind Robbie Morrison. Looks like he's going to set himself up for the run off the corner, and he does. Not going to interrupt this battle at all. Santana got a little close to the grass there on the exit, though. No harm, no foul.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to GT3 fourth place Paul Darling. He hung out in second place at Spa, just a little bit off DeVries the whole time, and now it seems like he's just on the island of Darling right now, just hanging out by himself. Big gap in front, big gap behind, just have a solid top 5 run right now.
There you see Darling on screen in his OFW roof as the HPDs continue to peel their way through these cars. And speaking of which, the leaders once again have closed up on each other, and one more time we've got an HPD splitting them up through the last technical section. This time, Chance Kelly pushing his way through.
Yeah, look at Castro now up in that. It's going to be more than just 2 drivers going for it. And this, again, we've been saying this all race long. Now watch, Chance is going to come to the pits, isn't he? Is he going to do that? No, he's going to keep going. Not this time.
Does manage to squeak past DeVries, but it's under acceleration, so DeVries gets the good hand of that set of HPD passes.
But looks like McLeish, one of our podium runners last time, did come in the pit. So the pit stops are definitely starting to come in earnest here for the prototypes.
Guys, let's put a camera on Christopher Bailey, 18th overall right now. It's hard for me to find a battle in this GT LM class, but here's one for, it's going to be for 17th overall. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It looks like 8th position in class between Postma and Bailey here.
Postma came from the GTD class over here to the GTLM, trying to adapt his way to another car with a lot of power and a lot of weight. And does he head in the pits? Yes, he does. So that battle now ends. Sorry, Bill, your battle goes away.
Gave him a little screen time. We're getting to that stage, though. We have 29 minutes to go, so we're going to see everybody starting to come in.
Right about halfway. And wow, Christopher Bailey did not give that BMW any room at all, it looked like. He was pushing him right up to the grass. You know, I think some of this too is Postma's. I figure that's actually a good call for Postma, because he was in a lot of GT3 traffic at that point, so he needed to come in and try to lose as little time as possible, since he knew he was going to have slow laps at that point.
Yeah, we'll check back in that when the pit cycle comes down. We'll see how Bailey and Postma fare out after they both come out of the pits.
And I got both my GT3 guys in the pits. GT3 leaders are in. Dexter Castro is just going to do what he did at Spa and try to leapfrog these guys with a late run.
We'll have to see if those tires are going to be fresh enough to allow him to do that. Of course, we don't know if these 2 GT3s are even going to get tires.
I would assume not. You got Darling staying out as well. Lindsay staying out. O'Keefe going to make it in. So it's split about 50-50 with the front runners here. Some staying out, some going in. I'll be curious to see what Castro does here. He does have some HPDs passing him currently.
And I'll just call out that Troy Schuster has come in running second position in the GT Element class.
Now, I was looking to see what that gap was. Schuster's, I believe you just mentioned that he came in. Is that correct, Bill?
Yeah, I think Gerard's the last one to come in. And honestly, I'm really struggling to find a battle. This is so non-characteristic of what we've seen from this class. These guys are all nicely spaced out. Everyone behaving themselves. We'll see how things shake out here after everyone comes out after the pit stop.
I think some of that could just be the this particular layout, doesn't it? I mean,
I think so.
Yeah, we were talking about how, Silverstone's known for high speed, but this particular layout is just, it's foot to the floor most of the time, and there's just not a lot to break up, or at least to keep the fights going.
There we see our leader Gerard and GTLM. Let's watch him go around left field, see if he ducks off into the pits this time by. 27 minutes left to go. Yes, he does.
There we go.
And our overall leader also
he spins it! He has looped it around in pit lane, and that's right behind him is Tinsey!
Oh, and did he touch him?
Yeah, that was contact, it looks like.
Tinsey cannot buy a break in pit lane. Last race, he did an Austin Powers.
We're going to look at the replay. Here
Boy, that's
looking
going to hand it to Schuster and Binkley, isn't it?
Yeah, he lost a lot of time trying to get that thing turned around. I'm trying to remember which cars were involved behind Tinsey last time when he had that. Now, how did he spin it there? Just under braking?
Now, Schuster has gone by. Schuster is out of the pits right now, and Gerard is still in there, so Gerard's going to have his work to do. Gerard's going to...
Oh, but Schuster gets very close to Tinsey. Almost makes contact with him, and he's still holding beside him. There we go. Now he gets past. I don't think he knew that he was exiting the pits because he went for the normal racing line, and Tinsey was right there. Close moments. Yeah, Troy just got on the radio saying apologies that he didn't see him coming. Once again, no harm, no foul, so it looks like everybody's able to continue on. Now, how much time did Tinsey lose? He had a decent gap.
I don't think he lost more than a second or two in there. I was just worried that he made contact. Right now, Tinsey, my timing and scoring is a little screwy there. We'll wait to see if it cycles through. I'm showing 45 seconds on Danny Kane. Somebody must not have pitted. Oh, Ben Likens has not come into the pit lane yet.
Yeah, my timing and scoring is certainly having a fit trying to keep track of everybody at the moment.
Well, maybe Matt Quinn. Let me apologize. It looks like Matt Quinn is our leader now, and I'm going to assume that he has not come in yet.
Robert Jackman, who has not pitted in the GTLMs, is coming in for his stop. That should allow Schuster to come around to take the lead. Now the gap over Gerard, if I'm seeing correctly, is it 14 seconds? Is that right?
Yeah, you got Gerard coming around here to the final corner.
Yeah, that seems about correct then. Schuster looking in a very handy position. He won the first round. He wasn't leading the way for most of this one so far, but a little bit of luck may be handing him another P1. It's getting held up a little bit here by Robbie Morrison. Morrison not doing anything wrong, just racing his line through Maggots Beckett's. It's just a place where faster classes are going to lose a little bit out to these GT3 cars.
And I mentioned Tinsey's pit lane exploits. I guess it wasn't in the Autobahn series that we saw him do that. It was at Spa where he did a Austin Powers there and actually parked it impossibly where he had to actually exit to get out of there. That must have been the...
No, that was Autobahn.
Series. Was it this?
Yeah, that was last round.
Oh, okay.
That we saw him do that. He had a little bit of ghost contact with the car ahead, we understand, after talking post-race in the forums. So that helped explain why that happened. Even still...
Yes. Tragic but hilarious.
He felt extremely embarrassed, but everybody came to his side saying, I've done similar things in that tight little hairpin of a pit lane run.
So our leader and prototypes are in, so it's just a matter. There goes Tinsey by him right now.
Yep, Tinsey retakes the lead. That should hand second back to Kane. Now, has Kane been in second this whole way?
Kane has, I don't know if he's pitted yet either.
Let me... Yeah, I've got it down in my timing and scoring that he has indeed pitted. That's all of our top drivers. In fact, all of our HPDs have come in.
Well, Kane was running in fourth. Remember that he worked his way all the way up there, so he's got another position now.
You guys just want to throw it out there. I told you that the pit stops and getting them right, actually jokingly said not crashing, but it is important to make all that happen and getting it done right. DeVries was out front in GT3. He's made a pit stop. Morrison now is in front of him after the pit stops, and a decent amount. So things are already shaken up, and we still have yet to have Castro come in.
My apologies a little bit earlier. I said Kane is in second. He is in third. Right now, Matt Quinn is in second. I heard Dexter Castro getting on the radio unhappy about some overtake. I'm not sure what's going on over in the GT3s. Now, has Dexter yet to pit?
Yeah, he's going out for another lap. We did have Lindsay currently running P3. He said he was going to come in. Darling has come in. So once again, Castro, the last of the guys to come in at the front runners.
Electing to go long on the first stint. There we see Darling heading in from second. Lindsay coming in from third.
Now the interesting bit will be if Castro decides to roll the dice on tires. He did that at Spa, and it did not seem to make enough. He was catching him at the end. He just ran out of time. I think right now, especially if he knows how Morrison and DeVries have been caught in traffic, it might just be better to get in and get out. You know, Castro will have a short stop too, because he'll need less fuel.
Now, if he's running that high downforce setting, his tires will be sliding around less than guys that are running lower downforce too. So maybe this time the optimal strategy is to not take tires, assuming that the downforce kept them a little bit cleaner.
You're going to have a pretty big advantage to make those tires work for you. I mean, you lose so much time not being able to do tires and fuel at the same time. So I have to assume he's not going to, but we'll see what happens.
Here we're watching Castro, currently a GT3 leader, who will, we assume, give that away once he takes his stop, unless he made a great set of laps out here. He is all by his lonesome, so he could be running optimal laps. Let's see what he does this time by. If he elects to finally come into the pits with only 20 minutes left on the clock. We're very far into the race at this point. And there he goes.
So now we got to be looking at the next guys on course. You got Darling and Lindsay, and then of course Morrison and DeVries, who are the first ones to come in. They're coming off the looks like it was Abby.
Morrison currently working his way up into left field. He's got a little bit of traffic behind him. Sean Reese in the GTLM trying to get by. Where is Dexter Castro? Is he heading out now? He was fighting with Robbie Morrison on track before. Tried to get himself some clean air to see if he could maybe leapfrog him. Castro exiting now. You can just see him in your shot. Oh, it's extremely close. I think Castro's got it, but just barely.
Wow, it worked this time. So you got Castro making a leapfrog from third to first. Morrison stays in second after the run, but how about Jason DeVries now? DeVries just going out of Maggots Beckett's and onto the hanger straight, now back to third and with a lot of work to do.
He was looking strong at the start, rebuffing our two BMWs who were chasing him down. You talk about a steep learning curve. There's a lot to take in with the traffic in the AMG SC. And
Oops,
Dexter Castro.
got a car in the wall. It's Troy Schuster.
Oh, that was our leader in GTLM. What happened to Schuster as we go to replay? Oh, and he actually had another car. That was David Henry that he ran into, who was off and swung across the track. We're looking at a replay right now. This is coming out of club. You can see he did not expect him to weave back across like that at the last second. Poor Henry just got on the power a little too much as we look at it one more time from on board with Troy. And that roof ahead, I don't think you're going to be able to see it. He oversteers off the exit. Swings back around. Just no time to avoid that. Heartbreak for Schuster, who looked like he for sure was going to continue this winning streak.
So that puts Jason Girard back into the lead in that class.
Now back to the point that I was talking about before with Dexter Castro before that accident happened. This is only his third race in this series. His first one, he didn't even get to complete one lap. He ran into trouble at the top of Eau Rouge. Second one, excellent finish with 4th place. Could have had a 3rd, but just ran out of time to chase him down. Is he going to jump 2 more steps up?
Let's go to Tobias Sotal right now. It's really a mess going on right here. It's a close battle with him and Binkley, but he's got a bunch of cars. He got De Vries in the mix here, and he's got a roof driven by, well, that's De Vries in the roof. Then the prototype got by Ben Likens. Now, Sotal is being chased right now by Binkley, and that's a battle for 2nd place overall in the GTLM class.
And it is a close one. These guys have been very tight together for most of the race. Not far behind them, they do have De Vries. He is not going to want to be held up if these guys start battling. Binkley just hounding Sotal, wanting to get 1 step higher on the podium.
Now, we're getting to know Sotal right now. We just don't know much about him. He's in that Corvette.
He's doing a great job withstanding the pressure from Binkley at the moment. He's got to do it for 16 more minutes, though. Can he hold him off? Because Binkley is looking very fast. Oh, great exit from Binkley, but I don't think it's enough to really stick his nose in by the time they hit maggots. Nope, he's not going to have a chance.
And earlier we were looking at a battle. We don't need to go there. We were looking at a battle between Bailey, if you guys remember, Bailey and Postma, where Postma came off and did that early pit stop. That didn't work so well for Postma. Bailey came out well in front, and actually Dave Hill now is between him.
It's on. Binkley looking to the inside into Stowe. I thought for sure that Sotal would try to go defensive, but he tries to hold on around the outside with that off-camber corner. It's hard, but he gets the run off. It's going to switch back left and then switch back right. Now he finally gives up the ghost. Binkley with a hard-fought move to get into P2. Oh, but I thought he overshot the corner. Did he?
Oh, I think he's going to close the door. Binkley took it in really deep. Sotal is not giving up.
Not done. Backs out of it by the time they hit bridge. He could try to sneak on the inside into Priory, and he is. He's going to send it in. Isn't gutsy enough on the brakes, though. Still, Binkley goes wide. He's going to have the inside down into Brooklands. Tobias Sotal retakes it. It's not over yet. Binkley could have the inside down into Luffield, and Sotal shuts the door.
I think Sotal scared Binkley there. I think he was close enough, and maybe he was in the marbles. But Binkley's not giving up in that Aston Martin. I think fight going down into 1.
He looks to the inside down into Copse. This is very tough to go side by side through this corner. And look at Sotal get the run off of it. Oh, you said we were learning about Sotal, and I think this boy has some chops.
Be interesting what happens here at the end of Hangar Straight. They're going to be trying to get around the lead 2 GT3 cars as well, with another prototype coming up as well.
All 3 classes mixed into 1, and 2 of them have top runners fighting for position. They're going to get Morrison. Are they going to get Castro, though? There goes the HPD.
Santana. Kevin Santana.
Looking to the inside, taking advantage of that HPD, sneak it in once again. It's Kevin Binkley pulling the same move we saw that last time. This time he's able to shut the door, coming out of Stowe. And it looks a lot more decisive.
Morrison there, 2nd place at GT3s. He's just hoping that these guys mess. Whoa! Almost with Castro. Almost. That's what Morrison wants.
Castro chops off Binkley coming through Abbey. Wasn't expecting that, and this allows Sotal to get right back up with him. Just behind them, they've got Mark Wilson looking to try and get his way through. There's a car off the course. That's
Robbie Morrison. Oh no, it's Swankley, yeah.
The BMW. Sotal just poking his nose in, coming through Luffield, looking for any opportunity. He drifts a little bit wide, gets a terrible exit. This allows Binkley to try and put some cars between them.
That's exactly what Binkley needed there. A little bit of breathing room here. Now he's going to be able to run normal lines and be able to run fast. Well, except for an HPD running your bumper.
Wilson actually made contact with that corner before.
Castro off to the side. That's going to be...
Loses just a little bit of time, not a lot, though.
Now, lucky they're not having any kind of big off where he goes through the grass. That was lucky.
Using all that paved runoff of these modern F1 courses. Suffers a 1X and not a lot else. I think, honestly, I feel like that may have been a smart move from Dexter Castro. He had an HPD of Tinsey coming up behind him. He knew that, the battling GTLM cars were still around him. He didn't want to have anything to do with whatever space those guys needed on track.
Certainly, like you say, a 1X and keep going with no harm, no foul. It was definitely a smart move if done on purpose.
Yeah, I don't think Castro lost much time at all. He's got McLeish right behind him right now. He's going to get that done. Now Morrison can see Castro.
Finally, just the two of us. Only 1.2 seconds between P1 and P2 in the GT3 class.
Let's look at Mark Schindel. He's put it in the wall.
Schindel and the roof. This was coming out of Luffield. Well, that's an unusual spot. You just dip a wheel into the grass. Let's watch the replay. Oh, it looks like he got a little bit squirrely, and he went nose in, and somehow, even despite going nose in, you can see him try to save it. That engine goes up in smoke. Usually you have to hit the rear end of the roof to do that.
Maybe he had something in the trunk there. Or in the front, whatever you call the front of a roof.
I guess the front's technically the trunk.
I guess, yeah. Luckily, he was running at the back of the pack, and there was no one around him, so that was just a harmless spin.
Now, Slavonic has headed into the pits. This is quite late. Did he have an off earlier in the race that he had to take an early stop? Not sure what's going on with our 9th place GTLM car. Meanwhile, Dexter Castro, 2 corners in a row, has had HPDs come and make him take an alternate line. He also had an off there just a moment ago coming through Stowe, and this has allowed Robbie Morrison to get right up on top of him. It's within half a second. This is for the lead. Behind them, meanwhile, Jason DeVries in the popcorn position, licking his chops, thinking that it could be possible to get back in this fight if these two start going door to door. Here we look over the rear spoiler of Castro. A little bit off. Just kicking up the dust coming out of Priory. And there are a lot of marbles on the outside of Brooklands. If anybody goes wide through there, they are going to be looking at some slow corners for quite a bit.
Yeah, as you say there, you could tell you just through the left-hander, they had a hard time getting the power down, but it seems to be pretty good as they came out of left field there, and then Morrison staying with them. The lap times that these guys are putting up right now are good enough to keep the distance on DeVries.
Oh, here goes Morrison.
41.7. Is he going to do it in the back? He's not going to do it there.
He was catching him hand over fist. And Morrison, remember, he's got that low downforce, which could put Dexter at a disadvantage, who's got a higher downforce package. So Morrison, if he gets a run, he's going to breeze past on the straightaway. All he needs is to stay close and get himself a good exit.
Doesn't seem like he's running low enough downforce, though, there to make that happen.
And Robert Jackman lurking back there in the Corvette.
Want to try and get by once more. Dexter Castro going a little wide, coming out of Stowe. Keeps his foot in it, doesn't lose anything. Dexter obviously willing to abuse the incident points since he's got some left, but that time he has a bad exit. This is what Morrison needed. Jackman,
I don't know. Morrison seems to be a magnet for other people trying to mess up his battle.
Absolutely.
Jackman stuck his nose in, had nowhere to go. Puts himself between the two leaders.
Chance Kelly, jump in there. No, he loves it. Get in there, Kelly.
And all this is allowing DeVries to gain more and more time on these two. Now Jackman is able to accelerate through.
Watch Kelly on Castro. Is he going to be able to clear before they get down to the first corner?
It's close, and I don't think he compromised his line. The aero wash might have set him off a little bit. But Morrison is back on top of him, and I think this is the closest we've seen DeVries in a while.
Absolutely. As you say, this is exactly what DeVries wanted. He's been able to just take big chunks out there, half second, a second at a time, and now he could be back in the game here. And he's running the roof. He's the single roof of the three, so maybe this hanger straight is exactly what he needs.
7 minutes left on the clock now. Morrison continuing to stalk Castro. I think Castro was weaving, trying to break the draft a little even.
It looks like DeVries is getting a little bit brave under the brakes there going into the Stowe section there. He said in the pre-race that he was having a hard time trail breaking into that corner. Well, he's pushing the envelope now, and so is Morrison.
Morrison getting right on top of Castro. Can't get the exit coming out of Club, though. Last lap might have been his best chance out of that corner. If only Jackman had not been there. And here comes DeVries, now within a half a second.
Good news is these guys got some clear battle for a little while. They shouldn't have anybody else come up to ruin it for, well, maybe to the last lap or so.
We ride on board with our third place car of DeVries. The Excelsior Racing Black Roof, gaining and gaining.
Tell you what, Morrison just not able to get out of Stowe, or excuse me, Luffield there as well.
I think that's where that low downforce is hurting him a little bit. He needs those good exits, but he just can't get on the power as soon as Castro can. But look at this, DeVries with the good run. Not quite enough though. Closes up on Morrison, runs out of time when they hit Maggots and Beckett's.
That was another big off, unforced there by Castro. I think you got to try to keep it on the black, in my opinion.
We'll have to see what the stewards say with him using a little bit more of the track here at the end. Sounds like we've got a little bit of a battle going on with GTLM, but here comes DeVries looking for second place. Morrison goes defensive down into Stowe, holds the inside. Can he get the power? It looks like the nose currently goes to DeVries. He's got the exit, and DeVries around the outside of Stowe with a beautiful move.
Outside of Stowe and in the edge of the marbles as well. That was brilliant by DeVries. I gotta wonder if he's got enough left to try and take it to Castro as well.
Now, did DeVries take tires?
Not that I saw.
He just seems like he's been gaining on these guys, and it seems like he's really good in these corners.
He was the pole sitter by a little bit of a chunk over these two guys, so at least over Castro. I just wonder if maybe he's just putting the power down a little bit better.
Well, DeVries doesn't feel completely safe. He went defensive into Brooklands trying to cover off Morrison, make sure he doesn't sneak in there. That is a place that drivers have been known to try and make passes, even though it's a slow technical part of the course.
The interesting bit here, too, is you have these two guys, Morrison and DeVries, in the practices leading up and the testing leading up. Those two guys went back and forth a lot. Castro didn't touch it at all. So you got two guys who've got a lot of time around each other, and then Castro, the newcomer to the class and the series, right up front.
Well, that fighting bought him a little bit of time, but now here comes DeVries. Now that he's passed, he's going to get slowed down a little bit by Danny Kane working his way through.
And Ross Booth just looped it into the wall, I believe.
Oh.
We don't need to go there. There is no other cars involved. Just want to point that out. Also, to the friends and families and supporters of Postma and Dave Hill, I see your battle, buddy. You guys are running for 7th in class. We can't get the camera on you when there's so much excitement going on. Oh, there, we do have a little time to get the camera on you. Postma just made the pass on Hill. They've been going at it for about a lap and a half. All the time that Castro and those guys were going at it.
Aston Martin over Corvette for P7 and GTLM. Looks like it's not done because he's still holding on to him. I'm watching this and I'm keeping half an eye on our GT3 lead battle, so we don't have to worry. If something erupts there, we'll go back there.
I think Postma is gradually going to pull away because he just accomplished the pass. Took him about a lap and a half to get it done. We remember we were looking at that battle when Postma came in. He's the guy who came in early for the pit stop. Really no other battles in the upper two classes at all.
Now, in P5 with the prototypes, we've got a little bit of a battle going on, but I'm not sure if we should be there because right now DeVries is looking to the inside of Castro, down into Copse. I think that was more of a psychological move. but De Vries has closed the gap after it was opened up by the HPD earlier in the lap. He's got a GTLM and another prototype coming up behind him. Are they going to be able to wait, knowing this is a battle for the lead? It looks like they're holding back. And Castro is off again, coming out through Chapel. That compromises his exit. Here comes De Vries. He's going to make it free behind with the HPD closing up behind them. Is he going to be able to hold it with that GTLM car around the outside? Castro tries to sneak in and make it 3 wide once more, and they do! The HPD going around both of them. That's Joe Wren trying to get through there. Now they're finally past. Dexter Castro looks to the outside of the first corner. It's going to switch back to the inside, but De Vries is able to go deeper.
Oh. What a race for De Vries, huh? First, and then goes all the way back to third into the pit stop, and now back in the lead with barely any time to go.
Or if we had an award for most guts, I think it needs to go to Castro and De Vries. That was some incredibly brave stuff.
Looks like we may have a slow, maybe a GT3 driver up front here that could balk things up a little.
That's Sherburne, I
Oh
believe.
my. Yes, look at this ahead of him.
Just a train of cars all together.
55 seconds to go. We're going to be looking at the white flag here pretty soon.
Let's see if Sherburne pulls over and lets them through.
Oh, look at that roof pull away. Poor Dexter had through this twisty section and gathered them up, and then the roof just pulls away. Oh, leave him some room there.
Ever so tight, but he's able to get through. Meanwhile, where is Robert Tinsey? He has just come across the line, so he should be on the white flag lap. Smitty break in if that lead changes in GT3. I'm keeping an eye on Tinsey right now. He's got about 13 seconds over Quinn in second. And we need to get
interesting 3 wide in the still right now, but it's not for position.
Here we can still see it on screen. Could still see P2 change if Morrison is able to catch Dexter Castro as well. And actually it looks like this may be interrupted because Tinsey is coming right up behind them.
Man, if I'm Castro, I fight like heck to try to stay in front of that prototype. De Vries lost a ton right there. Right now, Castro's on him.
He looks to the outside, heading down into Priory, tries to make the move. Is he going to try and sneak it into Brooklands?
Looks like Tinsey's backing off. He might not go for these guys.
De Vries shuts the door. Castro right on top of him. Meanwhile, just behind you can see our overall leader, Robert Tinsey, coming to the line. He's going to win his first race, we believe, here in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge at Silverstone today.
Castro looking to the inside now.
De Vries let him go. He went for the over-under. He committed to it. Didn't have enough. There was not enough room there. But here comes Morrison, not far behind.
You guys stay on that. I'm making sure to follow our winner in the GTLM class.
Castro beginning to pull away. That BMW is faster through this section of the track. But watch when they turn around and they get to the straight. Watch that roof gobble them up.
Yeah, I actually think there's a bit of an issue here. I think maybe
so.
Out of fuel. What's going on here with De Vries falling back?
Let's go to Gerard. Gerard coming to the line to win in GTLM. It's been a great race, and Gerard is now 2 for 2. Or excuse me, no, his first win in GTLM.
Smitty, you know, De Vries was probably 100 yards from winning his class. If Tinsey would have got around him, he would have had the race run. He had to do that extra lap. I think he's running low on fuel.
He's got to be. For them to be getting that far away, he has got to be out of gas. He must have missed it by a lap.
You got to take into account that extra lap depending on where the leader is. Castro is still up at the front. Robbie Morrison is not far behind. If one mistake happens, he is going to gobble up that win. Through Brooklands they go. One more corner for Castro. It's only his third start in this series. Accelerates good off the line. It's going to go to Castro today as he comes to the start-finish line here at Silverstone. A win for Dexter Castro.
DeVries is in trouble, boys.
He's not going to make it.
I don't think so. Oh.
Coming to a halt in Brooklands, he pulls it off the course to get out of everybody's way. Oh, not even a podium for DeVries today.
He had to go fast enough to finish ahead of Castro, but he wanted to go slow enough to let Tinsey by, and he couldn't get it done. Oh, my.
That gives it to Paul Darling, who has already finished since he was behind Tinsey for the final podium spot in GT3. That's going to be all of our finishers here today in round 2 of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge. So we are going to go to break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, but stick around because on screen we're going to have upcoming races here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Welcome back to Silverstone, where we just saw round 2 of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sportscar Challenge here in Season 3. Overall winner was Robert Tinsley, but before we go through the grid, real quick correction. We said that De Vries missed out on the podium. He did not, because Paul Darling did not complete the next lap since he was put down by Robert Tinsley, actually our winner. Matt Quinn finished in second. We didn't see a whole lot of him, but he had a great quiet run to the podium today. Same thing with Danny Kane. Nice job, although he was quite a ways back, almost a whole minute behind our leader, Tinsley. He was in third. Ben Likens finished in fourth. Last car on the lead lap. Those prototypes were very spread out. Kevin Santana, not as good of a finish as last time, but still a top 5 for him. Mark Wilson had a few scares along the way, but still managed to finish 6th. Tim McLeish, also not seeing that podium like he did in the first round, was way down in 7th. Mark J. Ponick came home in 8th with Chance Kelly in 9th, and John Wren, he finished in 10th.
And I always like when the drivers cooperate and break the classes up into group of 10. So when we put up the next chart, we'll go with the top of the GTLM winners. Jason Girard came back from a pit lane spin to win this thing. Kevin Binkley, best finish so far this season in 2nd place, in a great battle with this newcomer Tobias Satau, who was in 3rd. Robert Jackman came in 4th. Christopher Bailey was 5th in class. 6th was David Sockrider. That's going to be 16th overall. Brandon Postma, we saw a little bit there, made that pass, got up to 17th position, 7th in class. 18th is Troy Schuster, 19th in class, 19 overall, 9th in class is David Hill. And Sheldon Woloshin, we didn't get to see much of, rounds out the top 20. Smitty?
Bit of a mixture with this next 10. You've got Paul Slavonic there in the 21st spot. And then a prototype, Michael Johnson. We saw a bit of him there trying to find his way around some of the traffic in 22nd. Back to the GTLMs is Dino Topic. And then our GT3 winner, Dexter Castro, getting it done 24th overall, 1st in class, just in front of Robbie Morrison, 25th overall, 2nd in class. And then rounding out the top 3 for the GT3s is Jason De Vries there, 26th overall. Paul Darling there on the island of Darling all by himself there, 27th. Jim McInnes was able to bounce back for 28th overall. Sean Reese, another GTLM driver, in 29th. And then Brad Wren, I think his first run here in the GT3s, 30th overall.
Ryan Bird came home 31st overall, followed by Leif Peterson in 32nd. Rutgers Kevin O'Keefe, had a little bit better run, I think, this time. We didn't see a whole lot of him, but he came home in 33rd. Benjamin Hackison was 34th overall, followed by Matt Owens in 35th, Ross Booth in 36th, and Christopher Sherburne in 37th. Then it's Brett Trocine coming home in 38th, followed by Robert Sklenka in 39th, and Darren Kuhn finishes them out in 40th. Bill?
Paul Lindsay, 41st, followed by Mark Schindel, David Henry, John Big Cheese Ulmer in 44th position, saw trouble early and then saw trouble early again. Tony Duffy was in 45th, and I think that's going to wrap up the field as we have 2 non-starters on the charts. Joe?
So we've got interviews, and we have all of our winners this week, so that's awesome to be able to talk to all of our top podium winners, I guess. Again, I lacked a word for that. First up, we have our prototype winner, and that is going to be Robert Tinsley. Let's pull him into the booth, and I believe that Bill is going to be asking him a few questions today.
Robert, we saw you at Spa where you did a Austin Powers and parked the car in an amazing position in pit lane. And then, my goodness, you almost had another incident in pit lane again today, another Big Mac incident we're calling. Do you actually ever go through a drive-through lane without there being a problem when you're ordering fast food?
Evidently not, guys.
So that you had a little trouble with the spinning car in front of you. Other than that, it was a pretty clean race for you.
Yeah, it sure was. Just one small mistake, I think, on the last turn of lap 2, where I got a little sideways. But other than that, I just try to keep it clean and try not to spin.
We talked a little about the layout here, that they went with the historic layout rather than the GP layout. And we were thinking that it seemed to really help the prototypes get around. Did you feel that way? Is this convenient for you in the car?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I wasn't even sure. I saw Silverstone was on the schedule next, so I just kind of made a comment on the forum whether we should do the historic. So I wasn't sure which one they were planning on doing, just because I had experience in another league doing the same thing, and it really helps with the flow. Being able to get on the outside of cars through the fast turns, it really helps a lot.
Last question. Let's ask you about the track changing and whether we talked about maybe there were some marbles. How was the track? Did you feel it did building up at all?
Yeah, definitely. It actually seemed like there was semi-decent grip off the racing line as well. Anytime I had to go into the marbles, it really didn't seem too bad. But definitely in the groove had a good amount of traction. It definitely progressed. I think having the session open for a couple hours before the race, it helps make it a little bit more realistic and a little bit more fun.
Well, congratulations on your win. It's nice to see you start up front. You had a nice clean track to start with. You didn't have to work so hard at the beginning. And Ulmer had some trouble, so I think you're going to move way up the point standings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate the effort. And I just wanted to thank Talon Motorsports for allowing me to represent them and my club, TNT Racing. Thanks a lot, guys.
Robert Tinsey, our winner in the prototypes. Joe?
Next up, we have the winner in the GTLM class. He was the one that caused that Big Mac moment in pit lane, but a little bit of luck brought him back into the fold and managed to get him his first GTLM win this season. Jason, did you think that it all slipped away from you with that first mistake?
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. What mistake? No, yeah, it was. Yeah, I forgot that I was driving a GT1. I thought I was driving a GT3. I slammed on those brakes and thought it was going to come to a stop. No, it's got no ABS. It's not going to do that.
I like that response. So then talk to me, as you're on track when you're trying to make up that time that you lost to Schuster, thinking that maybe you had tossed away a win. Was the red mist down, or were you feeling pretty calm before you suddenly saw that he was no longer ahead of you?
Well, actually, I saw he was about 10 seconds ahead of me, and I was just saying, I got 30 minutes left. I still got a chance to catch him, and I was pushing pretty hard, and then all of a sudden he just disappeared on my screen. I'm like, I don't know what happened there, but it's unfortunate what happened to Troy. I mean, after my noob mistake, he certainly deserved to win that race, but yeah, it's just unfortunate. That's mixed class racing.
Indeed, it was unfortunate to see. Well, you're finally here for the entire season, and you've been up at the front in GTLM in both races so far. We kept asking you all last season. This time, I think we can get a different answer. Are you in for the championship?
Well, I'm just treating every race individually. If I win the race, championship will take care of itself. It's still way too early. Just try not to just do what I do best. Try not to make mistakes and keep myself in it. And we'll see 8, 9, 10 weeks from now. We'll see what happens.
That's a good attitude to have. That was Jason Girard, our winner in the GTLM class, with a great race today. Came back despite a mistake. Up next, we have our GT3 winner, and once again, first-time winner in the class and first-time winner ever in this series for Dexter Castro, who's talking to Smitty.
Dexter, you had told us before the race started that you actually didn't have a lot of seat time since the new build in this car, etc. It doesn't seem like it hurt you too much. P3 in qualifying and the win. Was the win the goal, or were you going for the podium there from get-go?
Well, once I got a little offline testing in and actually got a little familiar, I thought I had a chance at it. I knew I'd have to at least stay near them before the pit stops and jump them in the pits. So that was the plan from the start. Because the BMW it eats up the tires, it eats up gas, it handles like a pig if you're in dirty air. So the plan was just to run about 1 to 1.5 seconds behind the other two and conserve my fuel, conserve my tires, and see if I could jump them in the pits.
Speaking of the pit stops, and yeah, like you said, leapfrog those guys in the pits. You did that same plan at Spa, and it didn't seem to work out. What was the difference between Spa and here that this time it was enough to make it happen?
Well, Spa, I actually didn't intentionally do that. At Spa, it was sort of the opposite. I felt that I could actually make the best time by turning off traction control entirely and just driving the car as hard as I could the entire race and taking tires on my pit stop, which actually may have worked okay if I hadn't lost so much time in traffic and just stupid mistakes.
Tell us about that moment. It was real, like the last couple of laps. You're leading. You got DeVries who's coming up. You just got around Morrison, and you have that off coming out of Beckett's for the hanger straight. Just tell us about that moment. And did you think it might have been all up in smoke at that point?
Yeah. I thought it was done because DeVries had probably he had probably a half second on me at the end. The roof just absolutely doesn't fall off, especially on corner exit. Just the entire race. I was conserving my tires the whole race, and he was still reeling me in at the end. But I thought once he got past me that if I didn't get it back in the next couple of corners, there was no way I was going to be able to get back around him just because of the aero push and the great corner exits that the roof gets.
Speaking of the car differences, there. Last question for you. There was a little bit of a talk, the difference between the roofs and the BMWs. They look pretty close today, really. I mean, you guys were a little bit better under the brakes, it looked like. You and Morrison were able to make things happen under brakes while the roof pulled away a little bit. Is that going to be a little bit different story when you head over to Monza next week or next couple of weeks?
Yes.
Well, Dexter,
yeah.
I mean, tell us a little bit more about the difference specifically. You got a high-speed Spa and then a high-speed Monza split up with this track, which was pretty much on throttle. Really, what is going to be the key to making things happen at Monza?
Yeah, Spa last week I felt like the BMW was maybe half a second slow, but I had a ton of practice there, even though I'm not usually very good at Spa. I did have a ton of practice, so I was generally able to keep up with them. But this week, I think the two cars were dead even at Silverstone. But that's about as good as it's going to get for the BMW, is dead even. And I just had very little practice, so I was actually a bit slower than Jason.
Well, nice job, man. I mean, round 2 of the season, and you got a W under your belt in the top 5 last round. Good way to start it. Well done.
Yep, thanks.
That was Dexter Castro, our winner of the GT3 class here today at Silverstone. We have one more driver that we want to talk to, and that is GTLM driver Kevin Binkley, who finished second in that class. Bill's going to talk to him about his great battles that he had throughout the race.
Okay, Kevin, I got 3 quick questions for you. First of all, you put the Aston Martin 1 and 2. You and Gerard put it 1 and 2, but you qualified 5th. What is going on in qualifying?
I don't know. I felt pretty good about it too. I was like, this car feels solid. Everything feels good. I'm at a track I actually decently enjoy. So I'm telling you, these guys got some serious pace. It's going to be a heck of a season.
Well, you had 4 cars ahead of it, 4 drivers: Gerard, Schuster, Satau, and Topic. There's the Topic. There's one driver I want to talk about. What about this Tobias Satau? He's something else, huh?
Yeah, and you know what? It was fun going side by side with him there for a lap or two, and he's a good, hard, clean racer. So I think if he sticks around, it's gonna be fun between him and I.
Yeah, I thought it was aggressive but really clean and really exciting. And then, man, you guys were coming up on slower classes. You had faster classes coming up behind you. Were you nervous?
Not really. This is it was tight out there with as many cars that were there, but it was actually one of the better races, I feel. I don't know how everybody else was, but I feel that everybody was respectful. Everybody gave a little patience, and there was a lot of respect out there. So it did get tight and pretty grouped up at some points, but I felt that it was a good race all around. I really think everybody did a great job.
Okay, now I know you're married. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, this is my soup get-to-know Kevin Binkley question. If you weren't married, tell me, which Disney princess would you want to be married to and why? Come on, real quick, let's go.
Elsa, because I guess
Elsa's
the new
good
thing,
Yeah, Elsa, she could put her foot down and then put the snow on. I like that one. All right, there you go. Elsa's the ice queen. All right, back to you, Joe.
My vote's for Jasmine, I would say for me, actually. But anyways, we are going to close up today. By the way, that was Kevin Binkley, second place finisher in the GTLM class. We want to thank a few people before we go. The official sponsor of the AMGSC is the Autobahn Motorcar Group. They do a lot to make this series happen. Obviously, thanks to John Ulmer, who organizes this league and puts a lot of hard work in to make it kick off each time they hit the tarmac. Thanks to the software and hardware that we use for our broadcast. You can see those listed on your screen. And thanks to the team today, Amjad, Bill, Smitty, and Dougie. Also thanks to Kevin Brown behind the scenes, who was our chat mod today out on YouTube. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel, and we're on Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. Make sure and hit us up on social media. Special thank you goes out to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who both provide music for our broadcast. Their music can be found on the locations listed on screen as well. Next race, as we mentioned, that's going to be Monza. It'll be Monday, November 23rd at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. We have other upcoming races for other series on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Lots of great stuff here on GSRC. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.